Hey, sports fans, Louis Diamond back in our Las Vegas studios live with BettorCenter. And it's a little bit, looks like a little bit of a chalk Monday for us. So we have a light schedule in Major League Baseball tonight. And we'll start right at the first game on the board, which will be the Atlanta Braves are at the Washington Nationals. Nationals open up at 240 favorite, down to minus 230. Total opens up at 8, gets steamed to up to 9 under, minus $1.20. And as we know, Atlanta always gets steamed to the over, so you always want to be on that as early as you possibly can. But as you also know, 5 straight unders for the Braves. So that has me worried. So they're no longer in the executive club anymore. So, but we still will be playing them, and you'll see we drop the units down. So we'll get into the total on this game right now. But as I said, it looks like a chalk Monday. So I could see Washington is definitely a play here, even though they're a little bit cold right now. But the Nats are 8-1 their last 9 starts versus the Braves when Strasburg is on the mound. And Foltynewicz is 1-6 his last 7 starts on the road. The Nats come in 6-1 during the first game of the series, but unfortunately they're 1-4 their last 5 overall, 1-4 their last 5 home games. But they're going to get better. They're going to do it with Strasburg on the mound against a team like Atlanta, who doesn't get very many wins. Nats are 40-12 with Strasburg in his last 52 starts, 37-16 his last 53 home starts. So I see a nice solid play for the Nats. Of course, you're paying the price, minus 230. So what do we do when we see that? We try to find something else to tie it up in a parlay, and that's coming up shortly on this show. So stick around. Let's get to the total in this game. As I said, Braves 5 straight unders. We've been on the over 5 straight plays, so obviously we've taken it on the chin. But fortunately, we had some nice plays to cover for that with the Tampa-Oakland series going over every single play, 4 straight winners. So that covered for that. And then we had the Milwaukee series. I got 2 out of 3, Milwaukee and Arizona, to the over. So wound up having a little bit of a winning weekend for everybody on the executive club. So 5 straight unders for the Braves, but I'm still going with them over today because they are 5-2-1 their last 8 road games. 16-6 to the over with Foltynewicz on the mound his last 22 starts overall. Why we're not going to roll with it much bigger than a 2-unit Emerald play is because the Nats are 15-5-1 to the under their last 21 overall. But when Strasburg's at home, 33-15-4 to the over. 7 straight overs for these two in Washington. 6 out of 7 versus the Braves for Strasburg. 15-5 to the over the last 20 meetings. So you can definitely see some edge for the over. 2-unit play on the over in this game. And as I said, the total was steamed up to 9. Opened up 8.5, steamed to 9. And Washington has had their way with the Braves, 38-14. The last 52, 23-3. At Washington. You see why we're tying them in a parlay here today. So, next game on the board, Colorado at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh opens up $1.20 favorite. Total 8.5. Current number, Pittsburgh steamed to $1.40. Total steamed up to 9 over, minus 20. So, why the steam? Well, Rockies 2-9, their last 11 in Pittsburgh, 2-9. Their last 11 head-to-head overall versus Pittsburgh. That's a reason for the steam. But Rockies are 7-1 their last 8 overall. I don't like playing against the hot teams. 5-1 on the road, so they're doing it on the road as well. And they're doing it after a loss, 7-2. So they haven't gotten many back-to-back losses this season. Freeland, 6 straight winners on the road for the Rockies. 8 out of his last 10 overall. Pittsburgh 2-6 versus a left-hander. That is telling me right there some value against the steam with the Colorado Rockies today. As far as the total goes, 4 out of 5 for the Rockies to the under, And 9-2-1 for Freeland to the under his last 12 starts overall. Pittsburgh 5-2 to the over their last 7, 3-0-1 at home. 6-2-1 for Italians last 9 starts to the over. So little mixed bag of tricks there. So going to leave this play over alone. Head-to-head in Pittsburgh, 10-2-2 to the under. So definitely a game you want to leave alone. Let's look at something a little bit better. And this looks a lot better. This is a team that you're going to tie into the Washington parlay. Because Philadelphia is at Boston today. Boston, after getting slapped around last night, going to be taking care of business today. -$2. They open up a $2 favorite. They get steamed up to $2.20. Total opens up at 10.5. Steamed up to 11 over -20. So they're expecting Boston to put some bats together today. Phillies are 11-27 the last 28 meetings. And so Boston's had their way versus the Phillies. And in Boston, they're 10-2 against the Phillies. So definitely see some edge there for Boston out of the gate. Always looking to play against the Phillies if I can. 22-46 their last 68 overall. 14-38 their last 52 road games. And Eichhoff doesn't give you a very good reason to bet him. 7-19 on the road his last 26. 1-7 his last 8 starts. Boston comes in 7-2 their last 9 home games. 40-15 when they play an interleague home game. 35-16 versus the interleague altogether. So they do well in the interleague. 7 straight wins for Porcello on the mound versus in an interleague start. 3-8 though his last 11 starts. 1-5 his last 6 at home. But this is a position for him to get himself better. So I think this will be one of his better games. He'll have the opportunity to get himself off a little bit of a snide. The over has hit 10 out of the last 14 in Boston, 5 out of the last 7 overall. So you can see why there's a little steam on the over. The Phillies have gone over pretty much no matter where you look at them versus the interleague. On the road, when Eichhoff's on the mound, you get Phillies over. Boston, though, has been 5-2 to the under the last 7 home games. The over, though, is 5-2 for the last 7 overall. I can see a little reason for the steam. I think the number's too high. I will be leaving that alone, but I will be tying up a parlay with Washington and Boston in a nice, sweet 2-teamer that should get you close to even money on that play. So nice 2-teamer. That is an executive game for you here today. The next game on the board are going to feature the Cubs at the Mets. And, of course, Mets, well, I'm playing them over. What have they done? Well, they went pretty much dead under with Atlanta. You would think the 2 teams that I play over every day when they get together are going to go way over. And I could not believe that. We got swept, but it is what it is. And that's why you just never, no matter how good something looks, you just never get yourself in over your head with it. So we move on, and we still play the Mets over. We just drop the units. So in front of a 10-unit play, we're into a 2-unit play because they're playing the Cubs who have been in under. So, and they've gone under 3-1-1 the last 5 meetings. So I'm not going to say I'm going to have great numbers for it, but still, Mets, you always have great numbers, except for recently right now because of the series with Atlanta. The Cubs are 2-9 the last 11 versus the Mets. So some value there for the New York Mets. But, at $1.40, I'm not a big fan of laying it against the Cubs. Cubs 0-6, though, in New York. So you could see why they opened up a $1.25 favorite, and they got steamed. Cubs a little cold right now, 1-4, their last 5 overall. 3-13 on the road is certainly nothing that you want to back. 6 straight losers versus a righty, and Lackey, though, 6-2 on the road his last 8 road starts. So as bad as the Cubs have done on the road, they've done well with Lackey, so there should be some value in the dog. Mets 4 out of the last 5, but 1-4 at home. So I'm seeing a little value in the dog, not enough to really pull the trigger. But I don't see the steam. I'm not taking the head-to-head over as value to steam it. Cubs, though, under 5 straight on the road versus a righty, 6-1 to the under their last 7 road games, 12-3 their last 15 versus a righty, 12-5 to the under their last 17 overall. So I'm still playing it over. Why? Well, you know my Mets reasons, because Lackey's an over pitcher here. So even though the Cubs have been under and the Cubs have lost on the road, Lackey and over has been the flavor when he's been on the mound for him. 12-4-2 his last 18 grass starts, 6-2 on the road, 12-4-2 his last 18 overall, all of them to the over. Solid over pitching there. Matchups when Lackey is on the mound. DeGrom was an under pitcher, but 6-1-1 to the over his last 8 starts overall. And you know the Mets, they're always over. 19-7-5 at home, 36-16-8 their last 59 overall. So I'll be making a 2-unit play with the Mets and the Cubbies. And the total went from 8.5 under -20 to 8.5 over -20. I will be on it for a 2-unit play in the Emerald Red Hot Pick category. Next play on the board, the Houston Astros are at home. They have the Texas Rangers. The Houston opens up $1.35, and Texas gets steamed down to $1.15. Totals opens up at 9. It gets steamed to the under. Now we have a big history here with the Rangers, 73-34, their last 107 against the Astros. But most of that is when the Astros were the Lastros. So Rangers are 1-4, their last 5 in Houston. And Darvish is 1-5, his last 6 starts versus the Astros. So when you see that big number, you have to take into account what's happened recently. So I am not seeing the steam on Houston, but I worry about that steam, which is why I did not tie it into the parlay, even though I kind of believe they kind of should be. Rangers are 4 out of the last 5 overall, 4 straight road wins. So that keeps me a little bit away from it. Darvish is 7-2 on the road. And, of course, we're always getting decent numbers for the Astros. 40 out of their last 56 have been winners. So when that happens, you get good numbers, like 5-2, their last 7 at home. But Musgrove on the mound, 2-5 at home, his last 7 starts. So seeing a reason to lay off of it, but I was liking Houston. The under has been a hitter for a winner 4 straight for the Rangers, 5 straight for them on the road, 4 straight for Darvish on the road, 6-0-1. Darvish's last 7 overall. So the under has definitely been the flavor there, and for Texas and Darvish. Houston versus a righty, 6-2-3 their last 11, 8-3-3 their last 14 overall. The over. Musgrove, though, 6-2 the under at home. So I'll be leaving this play alone overall, and let's just move right on to the next game. And that's going to be the last one of the day, and that's going to be Seattle at Minnesota. Minnesota opens up $1.25 favorite. Total opens up 9.5. Still $1.25 for Minnesota, but steamed up to 10.5 Minnesota. If you notice, they've been getting steamed to the over recently, and they had a nice overrun. I'm not seeing really why they're getting steamed, but they are, so we've got to start paying attention and looking if there's something in there that's making that happen, because the money is moving it a lot right now. Mariners, 10-4 the last 14 overall versus Minnesota, but they are 7-16 their last 23 road games versus a lefty, while Minnesota comes in 18-37 at home and 21-53 at home versus a righty. So neither team giving you much of a reason. Mariners they're hot right now, so they give you a little bit of a reason to back them. As far as the total, in Minnesota, 5 out of the last 6 have gone under. 4 straight unders for the Mariners. 5-1-1 on the road for the Mariners to the under. 7-1 versus a lefty on the road to the under for the Mariners. So I'm wondering why we're getting steamed here. Gallardo, he's an over pitcher, though. 4-1-1. His last 6 starts. 3-1-1 for the Mariners versus a lefty to the over. Okay. Minnesota 3-0-1, their last 4 games to the over at home. So I am not seeing the steam, but there's definitely some steam on this game to the over. I'm going to leave this game alone overall. And we'll move us right to the next game on the board. which is going to be the Baltimore Orioles, and they are at the Chicago White Sox. Baltimore opens up a road favorite of $1.20, and in total is 9.5. Steam goes on the home team White Sox. They're now a $1.05 favorite. The total gets steamed up to 10.5, under -20. So White Sox and over has the steam right now. Orioles have had the last 4 meetings. They've won 4 straight. But 7-19 on the road is not a thing that you want to back. 3-13 on the road, their last 16 versus a righty, something you don't want to back. And 0-4 their last 4 overall. White Sox come in 17-5 at home versus left-handed pitching, but 2-9 their last 11 overall, 2-5 in Pelfrey's last 7 starts. So I have a tough time following the steam on this play. The over is 7-3-1 the last 11 times these two teams have gotten together. 6 out of the last 7 for the Orioles, 4 out of the last 5 on the road, and Miley's 8-2 to the over on the road as well. So I could see some steam for that over, but the fact that the White Sox are 7-2-1 to the under versus a lefty has me worried about the 10 going that big steam and being on the tail end of the steam. So I will pass this game here also and move us on to the next game, the New York Yankees at the Los Angeles Angels. And the Yankees open up a road favorite as well of $1.20. They get steamed up to $1.40. The total opens up 9 under, and it gets steamed to 8.5. So the under is the flavor. The Yankees are the flavor, and the Yankees, I can see why. 18-6 the last 24 versus the Angels. 5 straight winners their last 5 overall, and 23-9 for Tanaka's last 32 starts on grass. But Tanaka's lost 5 straight starts. That has to get you a little worried. The Angels 2-5 for Myers, his last 7 starts, so that doesn't give you anything to counter with. So definitely see some edge on the Yankees. So I want to lay $1.40 on the road with a pitcher that hasn't won 5 straight games. No. The under has hit 8 out of the last 11 meetings. 2 of them are pushes, so under's definitely been a hit. 15-5-1 the last 21 in L.A. So I would certainly start flavoring that under, but 4 straight overs for the Yankees. Tanaka 8 out of 9 on the road and 6 out of his last 7 overall. Plus the Angels 8-3 their last 11 versus a righty will keep me off of this total and this game altogether. And let's get on to the next game, which will feature the Cincinnati Reds. And they will be playing the San Diego Padres. The Padres open up a $1.10 favorite. The total is 8.5 over. And now little steam on San Diego, minus $1.20. And it's touch of steam on the total at 8.5 over, minus 20 now. So why a little steam on San Diego? The Reds are 5-12 against them the last 17 meetings. But Arroyo, 4 straight wins against the Padres. So where the Reds have faltered, Arroyo has done the job for them and got them a few winners against the Padres. So I got to leave that big head-to-head matchup alone, especially since the Reds are 5-17 on the road this year. But when Arroyo starts they're 7-3. So I am going to, this is the one spot that Cincinnati could get themselves a win. The rest of the weekend, the rest of the series, I will probably be looking at San Diego here. But the Padres 1-4 at home, 1-7 out of the last 8 overall, and Perdomo is 2-5 his last 9 starts. Will keep me off of the Padres definitely today. The under has hit for the last 5 straight meetings, 4-1-1 for Arroyo versus the Padres, 10-3 the last 13 in San Diego. So you would think you got some under stuff, but Cincinnati's got 5 out of the last 6 over. Arroyo 6 out of his last 8 road starts have gone over, and his last 20 on grass, 14-5-1 to the over, while the Pods come in 6 straight overs. And Perdomo comes in with a 5-2 to the over record, his last 7 at home. Got to leave that game alone, but I'm looking for something here, hopefully tomorrow in this series, where maybe we can find a little home San Diego love. But we'll see what happens. So that is going to bring it to the end of the report for today. Don't forget, we have one executive play, which is going to be a parlay. And that is going to be with the Washington Nationals and the Boston Red Sox. Two-teamer, pays somewhere in the neighborhood of even money. And that is an executive 10-unit play. Then we have two Emerald plays. And you probably knew I'd be playing these going in today. But where I've put them, you didn't know. They are Emerald plays today. Two Emerald plays today. The Braves over. I'm sorry. The Cubs and the Mets over the 8.5, and the Braves and the Nationals over. Now it's 9. You may still find an 8.5 because bookmaker.net has 8.5 over -15 as this is airing. So get yourself a nice solid winner with those two Emerald plays and the one executive play. This is Louis Diamond. I'll see you again tomorrow with some more winners on BettorCenter Live.